Here with our Good Morning opening song by Susan. So take it away, Susan.
Yay, so good to be here. We picked out a song this morning to start the morning. It's called Use Me by Ricky Byers, and I think a lot of you know it. Yes. So please sing along. It's kind of a little waltz type of thing. To think God was the sun, God is the sun, but God's so much more than the earth or the stars or all of creation. God is creator, all in all, needing us to shine His light as me. So use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I can do. Command my hands, what must they do? It's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new. And God needs us to shine His light as me, as you. So use me. For you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Show me all that I must do. Every little thing that is just mine to do. Show me all that I must do.
Wow, that's so great, and I know it's all going right into our heart right here, so I'm so grateful for that, Susan. So I want to welcome everybody to the Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living, where we teach the science of mind, which is the study of life and the nature of the laws of thought. The idea that we live in a spiritual universe, that God or Spirit is in, through, around us, and that this presence is a loving source of all good. So whether you're here in person today or joining us online with our service, we're very glad that you're here. And just to know that this service has been designed especially for you. Welcome home. I am practitioner Marilyn Kirk, and of course we wouldn't be able to make all of this happen today, as we do every Sunday, without the loving service of all of our dedicated people who serve in various capacities, such as our tech team and greeters and ushers and welcomers, as well as our snack saints and bookstore team. And of course, in addition to that, we have practitioners that are either on site or at home in High Watch and offering the invocation and benediction. So we are very, very happy to have all of you help out. And of course, we have our much anticipated announcements by Dr. Norm. We thank you for that. And so I just want to be so thankful for all that, and know that if there's any time that you think that there's something that you could do to be in service in this community, to please contact Carmela, who's our people and projects person, and she can find something that needs to be done that probably only you can do. So thank you. Our talk today will be delivered by our very own ministerial student, Yvette Trujillo, and it is titled Surrender is Action. That ought to be interesting. So, if you'll please join with me in reading our vision and our mission statements. Our vision is transforming our world with the power of love in action, and our mission, loving all creation through spiritual growth and service, always staying true to our highest self. And now let us prepare our hearts for the invocation by practitioner Marilyn O'Leary.
How wonderful to find ourselves here this morning in this place with these people. Of all the millions of places we could be in the world, we are right here. And we're right here invoking divine spirit to come to us and remind us that it is always here with us. Divine spirit is close as our breath, nearer than hands and feet. And so it's so good to come together to remember that. And as we come together today in this sacred space, I know that we are blessed, that everyone who is taking care of us today, that everyone who is of service is blessed, that all that we do is important, that all that we do that comes from our God self is here to be manifested. And so we're so fortunate to be here, to be with each other, to be one with Spirit, to be one with each other. And so as we go through this service, let us be so aware of that, that we know God is with us always. Please say with me, and so it is.
For our reading today, we will read our sacred covenant together in faith that our new senior minister is on their way. And if you would prefer, you can close your eyes and hear the words, as we heard from Reverend Christine Green last week. This is our intention, and this is our part in bringing forth that new minister. So if you'll join with me or listen with me, I'd appreciate it. There is only one life. This life is good. This life is God. This life is my life now. In knowing that I am one with this life that is God, I therefore know that I am one with all its blessed expressions, which includes the presence of a new minister for my beloved spiritual community. Because I know that the highest purpose of my new minister is to glorify God, I therefore know that my new minister is a revelation of God as unity. I further know that my new minister is the fulfillment of that which had been promised by God. For it is written, so powerful is the light of unity that it can illuminate the whole earth. As I stand in agreement with my beloved community, I see my new minister revealed before me as unifying and growing our community. I now intend to experience my new minister in full cooperation and agreement with my community, knowing this truth about myself, for I am inspired to live in unity as an expression of wholeness and love. I am encouraging and supporting spiritual growth, awakening the wisdom within me. I am serving as a healer to all, applying the power of love, wisdom, and unity. I am generating engagement of the community in mystical studies and spiritual teachings. I am collaborating with community organizations, working in service of a world that works for everyone. As I now accept the highest expression of a new minister into my life, I know that they will be revealed in a way that will glorify God and serve the highest and greatest good of all who are touched by their presence. I am grateful God is gracious. So be it now. Amen. Thank you. I just wanted to make a quick comment that for those of us who are raised in more of a traditional Christian situation, that this is the second Sunday of Advent, and also tomorrow is the last night or day of Hanukkah. And so I just want to be acknowledging these various forms of praise and that we experience during this time of year. But I'm just also really, really grateful for this season of lights, whether you are, doesn't matter what background you came from. So I just want to acknowledge that. And of course we have our menorah up here in acknowledgement of that. So I'd like to introduce our speaker for today, and then we will also hear some special music from her and from Susan. So we are blessed today to have Yvette Trujillo with us. Yeah. Yvette has been a student of New Thought for over 20 years. She is a musician, a religious science practitioner, and a ministerial student. Yvette's mission is to reveal humanity's inherent compassion and loving spiritual practice is the one thing we can depend on to transform our lives. Let's give a warm welcome to Yvette.
I love you, Lord, and for your mercy never fails me, and all my days I've been held in your hands, and from the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in the darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. goodness of God. Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Changing hats. Good morning. Oh, there's so many of you. This is just so delightful. So delightful. Thank you all for having me. Thank you for coming and joining me. Thank you for logging in and pressing play or whatever you are doing to be here with us virtually. I really appreciate it. I have a question for everyone. Why do we come here? Why do we bother on a Sunday morning, for those of you that are here or that are checking us out live? Why do we bother to get up and get our butts here? Why do we put on pants and comb our hair and put on shoes, right, to get here? Why do we bother to get our device and find Rio Grande Center for Spiritual Living, press play, or just log in? Why do we do that? I believe that there is something really powerful within us and around us that is calling us here. There is something within us that wants to be connected to this message, that wants to learn, that wants to be reminded about this message, about this truth, about this philosophy. And so far this year, we have been on a wonderful trip of awakening. And in sometimes it feels like it's been a trip, right? We have been on a wonderful trip of awakening, of growing our conscious awareness of our growth, right? We've been waking up to that. We've been waking up to the challenges that we've been facing and our evolution. We've used that word a lot as we've gone through these Centers for Spiritual Living global vision themes, our evolution. And no matter how slight we might believe it has been, we have grown and become more conscious of our own and our collective transformation. Right? As we have spent time in this room, physically or virtually, we have been on this journey together. We have been on a journey of becoming. And for December, our Centers for Spiritual Living global themes is the journey of becoming. Not yet. Okay, gotcha. A little later. Thank you. We are on a journey of becoming. We have been on one. And what are we doing? We are becoming more authentic. As we do this work, we become more authentic. We are more aligned with our highest truth. Yes? Yes. Thank you. Love it. Feel free. Amen. Whatever. We are, if we choose to be, or if we have chosen to be, we have become more loving, more kind, more compassionate, more patient. We have become more open, perhaps, to God, to the truth of ourselves as the expression of God, to the truth of one another as that beautiful expression of God. Good timing. For those of you online that didn't hear it, there was a sweet little baby sound. And even if today is your very first day with us, I believe that you are becoming more available, all of y'all too, but even if it's your first day, you are becoming more available to the presence of possibility, the possibility that lives in this message, in this philosophy, in this science of mind. Possibility infinite possibility. I believe that is what gets you here. So welcome. We're going to continue that journey. We're going to continue that conversation. And as we move along on this journey of becoming, what I want to talk to you about is a sliver of that I find to be like a big hunk of chunk for me. And that is, y'all know I love this. I'm being facetious. Surrender. Surrender. Oh, Lord. And it is the surrender, the idea of that surrender is action. It's not a typo if you saw it in the newsletter. Surrender is action. And as I start to think about surrender and start to prepare for a talk like this, the first thing that comes to me is the way that we in our culture here in the United States really have an idea of what success is, right? Like success is pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. It is doing it yourself. It is making things happen. And oftentimes in our culture, we perceive surrender as weak, as giving up our power. That's how so many times we in this country perceive surrender. Because we want to be in control and we want to take control. As if surrendering were easy. So if any of y'all have been in these rooms at all for any period of time and have been listening to or thinking about or contemplating surrender or playing with it, you will realize that at least in the beginning, surrender is hard. It can be hard. Doesn't always have to be. There is the grace of God, and we can sometimes, and like this, let me be really clear. Sometimes there's a surrender of like, oh God, I trust you. And I know that you are in charge and that you know far more than I do what is that thing that will bring the experience that I am longing to have, right? There's that kind of, oh, look at that. She's been doing her work. She took some classes. She's been praying. She's been practicing. And then there's, oh my God. Oh my God. I can't anymore. That is also surrender. And God uses it all, so you're okay. It doesn't have to be the beautiful, flowing, trusting, prayerful. That's great. It's nicer. Eventually, as we work at this, we get there more quickly and more easily. But it's not required. You are more than welcome to drop on your knees and say, I can't. I just can't. And the divine is jumping for joy. Get out the way. I've been waiting for that. I want to propose today that surrender is an active verb, that it requires a conscious choice. Even in those moments where we're like, I can't, you have made a choice. It feels like you got nothing, but there is still a choice to surrender. So it is an active verb that requires a conscious choice to move from control into the order of the divine. I have a couple of quotes for you. The first one is from our founder, Ernest Holmes, in his textbook, The Science of Mind, on page 477, for those of you that like that kind of thing. It's important. Our mind should swing from inspiration to action, from contemplation to accomplishment, from prayer to performance. This would be a well-balanced existence. And I think the order of those was really important. It wasn't from action to inspiration, from accomplishment to contemplation. It's the other way around. And the second quote that I have for you is from a book called Spiritual Power, and it is by Llewellyn Vaughan Lee. I think this is so beautiful, so listen. The inner surrender of love's servant has a quality that is not passive, but is a dynamic participation with the unknown. We surrender to a reality we cannot understand and are trained to stand in the midst of the emptiness and be available for love's work. It sounds so pretty, right? And it would be really nice to think that you could just stroll into that. It's so beautiful. What I want to do first as we begin to explore this idea of surrender is action, is to take a moment to consider what your relationship is with control. Right? We don't have all day. But I just want to kind of share with you some of the places that, or a place that I have a relationship, a personal relationship with control. And it's interesting because I think most people, not my wife, but most people would think that I'm pretty laid back and easygoing. Kamatara tells me that all the time. Well, when I think about it and I actually dig in, I had this whole list of possible things that I could have shared with you. Like a really, really long list of things I could have shared with you. And I written it at the top, and I'm like, I don't know if I could talk about that one. I picked one that's kind of benign, but also really, really, I don't want to say silly, because if other people have this experience, I don't want to downplay your experience. It has been challenging for me. So, weather. Weather is a place where I have an experience of control that is challenging for me. When I was a kid, I grew up in southern New Mexico, right by El Paso, on a little pecan orchard. And in El Paso, it gets really hot. Really hot. And I hated it. I hated it, especially in the monsoon season. Now we're starting to have a taste of what it was for me growing up. I'm like, really? Well, this was the cool place. This was refreshing when I drove up here. But it was so frustrating to me, and I would get really angry, and I would get so bored with, oh my gosh, another blue sky day. This is so boring. Truly, truly. Feel free to laugh. I laugh at myself now too. And so I moved to Washington State. That makes perfect sense, right? I moved to Washington State because I wanted the opposite, and I got it, but I didn't do my research. I thought rain was rain, right? You know what? Big, beautiful monsoon storms, and the thunder, and the lightning, and the clouds coming in, and it smells so good, like all the things. I thought, I'm going to go to Seattle, Washington, and I'm going to have the thing that I love the most all the time. I had it all the time. It wasn't quite that experience. If any of you have been to Seattle, Washington, or watched movies that were set in Seattle, Washington, Belinda and I were watching something the other day. We're like, wow. Yeah, that was rough. I got to Seattle, and the first year it was delightful. I sat on my friend's deck, looking at the 4th of July fireworks, wrapped in a blanket, drinking cocoa. I thought I had died and gone to heaven. My first year. And then somewhere down the line, I'd realized I'd lost track of how many days I'd gone to bed listening to the sound of rain on my windowsill and woken up to it. Turns out it was over 100. Right? This is the Pacific Northwest. That's the way that it goes. And I struggled with it, y'all. I was so mad because it was messy, and I had pets. And they would go outside, and they would come in, and every time you have to wipe them down with the towel, and you have to clean their little feet so they don't track mud into the house. And my precious little Aggie transitioned just about 2 years ago. She used to love to go to the dog park. And we need to run them. But it's raining, and it's been raining. And so there are these big trenches of water. And she would see them, and she would run. And she would put her nose down, and the water would spray in the mud. And she loved it. And then I had to put her back in the car. I was so angry with the weather. I couldn't believe why. Why does it have to be raining again today? Like, really? I was angry with the weather. I'm so glad y'all are laughing because it's so much better than the alternative. Like, I struggled with control in the area of weather, only one area of my life. I want to shift a little bit. Have y'all heard of the 4 kingdoms of consciousness? We talk about them here. The first kingdom of consciousness is to me. Things are happening to me, and so therefore I perceive myself as a victim. I can't believe you did that to me. Oh, my parents did yada yada, and so I am now. Let's say this, oh, that's not true, right? Like, there's some truth in some of this, but there's a identifying as a victim. Kingdom 2 is by me, right? This is where we take our power back. I'm not a victim. I actually can do some things. There's this law of attraction, and I can actually affect the experience of my life. I'm the architect of my life. Yeah, right? That's just this God moment. Kingdom 2. Kingdom 3 is through me. And this is where we surrender. This is where we can get to the surrender either from trust, that first example that I gave you, or from despair. Either way. But Kingdom 3 is that point of surrendering ourselves. And Kingdom 4 is as me, and this is where we have been in that engagement of surrender, and we recognize our connection to everything, and we recognize our oneness. Okay, so quick review of kingdoms of consciousness. So as I go back to the experience of weather and my desire to control and my anger and frustration every time I woke up and had to put the dogs outside and then bring them back in, I was in Kingdom 1. I was complaining. I was a victim. I was a victim because I moved myself to the Pacific Northwest where it rains, and it was raining. Darn it. I can say that now. Obviously, in the moment, I was just like, listen, I was mad. And then over time, my experience of that control was to exert my will to change things. I did it a little bit before I came into Centers for Spiritual Living, into Science of Mind. And when I got into Science of Mind, I was like a rocket. I was like, I have control over things. I can make a difference. Let me tell you how this went for my jobs. My resume is many pages long. My addresses, my house isn't quite working. I have a very long list of addresses. I moved to Seattle because it was too hot. I moved back because it was too rainy. I moved back and then it was too rainy again. Then I exerted my will to change things from Kingdom 2 because this experience, whatever it was not giving me the desired experience that I wanted. This thing wasn't giving me the desired experience, and I'm uncomfortable and I want to change that, right? That's what we learn that we can do in Kingdom 2. And that's fantastic, and it's right on time. However, that's not all there is. Kingdom 2 is a place of evolution. It is an evolutional step. There is something beyond the manifesting. And manifesting is fun, y'all. It's fun. It's yummy. Look what I remember getting my first $5,000 check out of nowhere because I was really wanting to manifest some abundance, and I did it. Easy peasy. And that was exciting, and it was energizing, and so I did it some more. But what ended up happening for me is I spent a really long time in that world because I had the experience of being in control. Good thing was I was no longer experiencing life as a victim. That was fantastic. But now I had this perception that I was the ultimate creator and had all the powers of the universe to make the mountains move and the stars change orbit around the sun. Well, I had a little bit of that. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of good at it. But it is an evolutionary step. Here's what Michael Bernard Beckwith has to say about this. He says, about Kingdom 2, when we start experiencing the law of attraction working for us, we begin to trust a little more, right? We build examples. We stop trying so hard, and we allow ourselves to let go of wanting to control everything. Eventually, for me, eventually. Because for a long time, I was just digging the control. I was digging it. And then I realized at some point that what I was creating was limited to my mind and limited to my thinking. And that if I wanted to have a bigger experience, something bigger than what I could conceive of, which is what I really wanted and what I really want, then the next step was to evolve into the surrender, the letting go. Why didn't I do that? Why did it take me so long? And maybe some of you can resonate with this. Because I didn't trust God enough to get it right. I said I did. I prayed about it. I took classes about it. I thought I did. I was afraid that God was going to be giving me someone else's dream. That God was going to get it wrong. I didn't trust the omnipotent to get my life right. I know you did all this other stuff. Sunsets and nebula and little babies. But I don't think you got this. So I'm going to take it. So what I ended up doing by staying there is that I stunted my true peace and my deepest happiness. I delayed it. And that's okay. That's really okay. Because I am right on time for my life. You are right on time for your life. If you resonate with any of this at all, there's nothing wrong with having hung out in any kingdom of consciousness. Hang out. Have a good time. Eventually, just like you got here, because there is something that is calling you, some little voice within you that says, I want more of that. I want to know. That divine is in, through, and around you. And it is operating in everything that you do. And it is using everything that you do for your highest good. And so that call eventually will arise. And it might be fast, and it might not be fast. And there's nothing wrong with either of them either. It's all perfect unfolding. But having a conscious awareness that that exists is helpful, I hope. I hope that knowing that sometimes we can get caught up in staying in control and being aware that we might be doing that helps us to go, oh, there's something more that's available. So what do we want to do to be able to transition from that kingdom to, which is very satisfying and gets us a lot of cool things, cars and houses, jobs, raises, relationships, whatever. Practice. I know, right? It's not the sexy, cool stuff. It's practice. Because when we practice, this develops our faith. We're building a muscle when we practice. When we practice this in little tiny ways, in ways that we can say, okay, God, I'll let you have that. It's not real consequential. I'm just going to let you do that. Truly surrender, work on surrendering it. And then, you have this experience. I fully believe that if you have a surrendered experience, if you hand it over to the divine, that there is a beautiful manifestation of the divine expressing in your life and operating in you, as you, through you, to have the most magnificent experience of that thing that you could possibly have. I believe that 100%. And if you don't believe it, I'll believe it for you right now. I am a practitioner after all. I hold that for you, knowing that if you take chances to surrender to the divine in the smallest little ways, that you will begin to build an arsenal of evidence. An arsenal of evidence to show you that you can trust God. That the omnipotent that created the universe, that replicates your cells and moves things around and makes babies, that can actually do things in your life. And you begin to build that arsenal of experience. And when we move into action, so what's action, y'all? Practice. The practice is meditation. That's one of the practices. Now, I have struggled with meditation for years. And I found this wonderful new way of looking at it, that the voices, the ticka, 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 when you sit down to get quiet, it's not that they're showing up right then. They've been going on the whole time. And it's not about shutting them up. Really? When you're in meditation, it isn't about quieting the voice. It's about observing. Oh, and then who just said that? Who said, oh, wow, look at that. They're just talking. Who said that? It's about observing and pulling back and observing and pulling back and observing, not to shut it down. That's the divine. That's the divine watching. You're watching. All of that's happening. So practice. It's not going to be perfect perhaps right away. You're not going to feel so successful and blissful the first time you do it, the second time you do it, the 100th time you do it. But it is an important thing to do, and do it when you are in times of peace. That's so important, is to practice this when you are at peace. Because if you wait until you are distressed, it is so much harder to be even willing to move into the silence. You will lean back into manifesting. You will move back into manifesting because it's easier. That's okay if you do it. It's okay. But that's what will happen, most likely. So do it when you're at peace. Recognize when God has been in action in your life. And I was here a couple of weeks ago and we talked about reflecting, right? Taking a look from higher ground at what has happened and what got us here. And looking and recognizing the perfection of God operating in our lives, even if it was a mess at the time. When we are looking at it in the rearview mirror, we are more able to see the gold in it. We are more able to see the divine operating in our lives. So practice looking back to recognize when God has been in action in your life. And as much as possible, take time in the current moment to notice that Spirit is all around us. Like, go outside. Look at a window. Look at a baby. Just be present in this moment. Pause to be present to the perfection of divine operating in this moment right here. And if God is operating in perfection in this moment right here in the world that you are perceiving, it is operating in perfection within you because you are inseparable from that power and presence, from the divine. You're inseparable. We have an idea that we're separate. We see ourselves as separate. But the truth is that we begin to practice this and to surrender to the divine and to have the experience of this beautiful unfolding of life. When we do that, then we wake up to the truth that we are one with Spirit, and that is kingdom for consciousness. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. That is evolution. That is what we've been talking about all year. This transformation of ourselves comes from our conscious awareness of what is possible. And this is possible. Do you want it? Yeah. I want it too. I'm working really hard. Notice how Spirit has never failed you. That takes something, right? Because then we have to first acknowledge that Spirit never failed us when we're looking back. Spirit has never failed you. Work on that. Practice that. And as you begin to do that, you begin to build the muscle of surrender. Surrender takes strength, commitment, and perseverance. It takes courage to step into the unknown. We're afraid that we're handing over ourselves and we're going to lose ourselves. Let me back that up. I have been afraid that if I surrender, I'm going to lose myself. Where's Yvette? I kind of dig her these days. Where's she going to go? Am I going to become some automaton because I surrender to God and God just creates? No, you're still you. You are not surrendering to some bearded man up in the clouds throwing down thunderbolts because you're making mistakes, because you're sinning. You're not surrendering to that thing outside of yourself. You are surrendering to the divine presence that exists within you. That deepest call of your heart. That's what you're surrendering to. The God that lives within. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. If you say that prayer, if you say those words, be still and know that I am God, you remember the truth of who you are. And hopefully, it will call you forward. It will invite you, just like you have done today, to get your butt here, to press play, to show up, and to listen, because the divine is calling for you to be the most brilliant self that you have ever been. Let's pray. And so I invite you, if you're comfortable, to close your eyes or lower your gaze. As we turn our attention to that place within our body, wherever it is, that we can experience the divine. In our heart, in our solar plexus, in our throat, whatever. Turn your attention there. And if you don't feel it, make it up. Pick a spot. Because the truth is God is all there is. God is in every cell, in every corner, in every particle, in every thought, in every deed. God is that power and presence of the Most High. God is the expression of perfection and life. And that perfection and life is centered in right now on each body that can hear my voice. And I know that as we begin to recognize the truth of that, the truth that God is right here within each of us, I know that something wondrous begins to happen. That there is an opening of our hearts, of our minds, to the possibility of the magnificent life that each one of us is destined to live. I know that God so loved the world that it wanted it to have you in all of your brilliance and glory and messiness, in all of your hurt and joy. And so I know that as we recognize the divine presence that is centered in each of us, I know that that spot, if it is, that place grows in our conscious awareness, that we become more deeply and more consistently aware that God is living us. And from that place of knowing, I know and declare that there is a brilliant wave of surrender. A brilliant wave of surrender to the divine. Knowing that we are not surrendering to some entity outside of ourselves, but we are surrendering to the very heart of ourselves and allowing that power and presence that is the genius running through the universe to unfold the perfection of our lives in ways that we could have never imagined. Oh, what a delightful game to play. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful, sweet Spirit, for the knowledge and the wisdom and the clarity that I have through this philosophy, through this teaching, that I know that as I declare my word, and I surrender it into the law, and I do so now. I surrender it wholeheartedly with anticipation and excitement that the law can only say yes, and it does so now. It does so now. And it does so now. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is.
Thank you, Yvette, very, very much for those telling words and also the good stories, too. Appreciate that. And so now is our time to share our abundance with our center. And, of course, there are multiple ways to give that are scrolling across the screen, or if you're here in person, there's also just ordinary cash and checks and, credit cards and all that good stuff. So, but we just want to make sure that you're aware that everything that you can share with this center goes to wonderful purposes. And we have a lot of great things that are going on, which Dr. Norm will be sharing with us soon, so you can know how involved we are with our community, involved with each other. So I thank you for all that you can share. So if you will, say the giving affirmation. Up, down, up, down. The screen keeps going up and down. Oh, you know it by heart? Okay, well, we'll just do it and you stumble through. If you don't, just say the word watermelon, no. I am abundant, and I give from my abundance. I am prosperous, and I give from my prosperity. I am blessed, and I give from my blessings. My blessings of spirit are as abundant as the stars, and so I give and receive generously, and so it is. And now let's enjoy some special music from Susan.
Let go of the shore and let the water carry you. Let go of the shore, float into the mystery. Let go of the shore and let the water carry you. Let go of the shore, float into the mystery. You have all you need, it's all inside of you. Just close your eyes and breathe and know that you are safe. Let go of the shore and let the water carry you. Let go of the shore, float into the mystery. Let go of the shore and let the water carry you. Let go of the shore, float into the mystery. No need to make a plan, your heart will be your compass. Lift your sails in flight and know that you will arrive. Let go of the shore and let the water carry you. Let go of the shore, float into the mystery. Let go of the shore and won't you let the mystery guide you. Let go of the shore, drift into sung by Karen Drucker. Thank you so much.
I was just going to say thank you for playing a great Karen Drucker song. It's very nice. And also I want to say thank you, Susan, for incorporating your music with the message. So I really do appreciate that.
That's my favorite thing to
Yeah,
do.
thank you. Well, now if you'll just help me by blessing these wonderful gifts, by putting your hands together and sending all your love and appreciation. O divine giver of life, we gratefully accept these and all your gifts on behalf of our congregation and its ministry. We honor each gift and each giver and declare that our abundance is increased 1,000-fold. And so it is. I want to take the time to welcome all of you here today, and a special welcome to our visitors. We are delighted to have you come visit our center. And if you are here for the first time, we do invite you to see Carol Ann Armijo, who's over there by those beautiful flowers, and she has some information and a flower for you, and we'd just like to let you know how much we appreciate your coming to here. And if you're new online, we hope that you will join us sometime by dropping by the center if you're in our area, and we would love to meet you. Also, our licensed practitioners are ready to support you in a mini prayer treatment after the service. So those of us in purple stoles, but I also notice we have a couple in red stoles. And so anybody who's got a stole on, I guess those are the ones you want to make sure you're in contact with. And we call it a 1-minute miracle because we just want to be able to support you the best way we can. And so if you are interested in a short prayer afterwards, please join us up here at the front, and we'll spend a few moments together. And in addition, we'd like to invite you to use the prayer request box on the back table. Prayer request forms are beside the box, and they're also in the pocket of the chairs in front of you. And those of you who are online, there is a prayer request form that you can fill out online as well. I do have one short thing that we forgot to do last Sunday, so I want to just bring you up to speed. Are there any people in the room that are having a birthday in December? If you do, please stand and let us sing.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
And many more.
And so as a celebration of that, we do have birthday cake in the social hall in honor of your birthday. So just want to have you enjoy that. I would like to invite Mark Ayers to come up, who has a short announcement, and that will be followed by Dr. Norm Dawson, who will share our announcements.
I graduated both Harvard and Yale. I'm no dummy. I'm not following Norm. The reason I'm up here is that, along with Carol, I'm your co-president, and we have started our pledge campaign for 2022. Board members presented the budget, and our pledge campaign this year is ambitious. It's $220,000, and I have some good news. We sent out the first wave of letters. We're trying to do it mostly online this year for a variety of different reasons, but your board has already entirely pledged, and every single member of the board raised their pledge from last year. So we're leading you by example. So the second wave of letters that go out Thursday of this week, you can respond directly to me. I'm the only one who sees the figures. Keep it in complete confidentiality. I did it last year as well, and nobody found out anything, and it was all good. And there is another option. You can do it on the website. You can do it via text. You can just email me back when you get the letter. There's also these forms in the back. I'm going to be here for a little bit after. You give the forms directly to me. We keep your finances and your contributions. Just as a small example of the mission that we're doing, Maria Dion, who's heading a pledge campaign, also introduced us to an agency earlier this year La Plazanita Institute, and we take part of our tithe every month and we send it to them. And so I said, thank you for your generous donation. It's with gratitude we accept your gift. Everyone here is excited, and your gift allows us to continue our work with our youth, families, and our community. And so that's just a small part of what we get to do because of all of our generosity and as a community. So please help us and respond sooner rather than later. That'll help us out. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Good morning. Oh, boy, that was great message and wonderful music, and the way you connected those two together was just outstanding. Thank you. It's always good to hear you and see you. Okay, recurring events. Now, these are all available in the bulletin and on the website. Every Thursday from 6 to 7:30, Course in Miracles, headed up by Nancy Bowers, and you could just drop in and show up. It's great. It's a great message for the people who understand and appreciate Course in Miracles. And the second and fourth Wednesdays from 4 to 6, right here, there is a group called the Celebration of Life and / Grief Support by Kathy Mathiasen. So those are reoccurring events. More details are in the newsletter. Do you know how to connect with the calendar here at the center? Well, there's a bunch of ways. One is you can go to the website, and the website is rgcsl.org. And there's a bulletin board back there in the back next to the mailboxes. There's a calendar in each classroom, in the practitioner room, in the social hall. And if you need more information, or if you want to get your event scheduled on the calendar, contact CJ at office@rgcsl.org. So that's how you can be connected. Speaking of being connected, how many of you would love to go in the back there after the service and have a little something to eat? Yeah, I think everybody really appreciates that. As a matter of fact, I remember somebody came here once and they said, you know, you guys don't do just snacks, you do meals. Well, in order for that to happen, there's somebody in charge that really needs some volunteers. So I'm pleading with you, I'm requesting with you, I'm begging you, I'm saying to you that please contact and support Carol Ann and go back and talk to her, because she is the true snack angel and she needs some help. So I'm asking you, just go up. You know, you can help clean dishes and wipe tables off, or bring food, or help with the coffee. I mean, she'll give you some stuff to do, but if everybody helps out a little bit, you know, it's a team that works together. That's what makes it so nice for us to go back there. So kudos to Carol Ann. Okay, Michelle's Giving Tree. This is in honor of Michelle Scholler, who made her transition recently. This is being put together by the Reach Out Committee. And what they're doing is they're asking people to go to the Giving Tree, pick a name or a gift, and get something and bring it back. And this is for supporting families here at our center, families at a charter school, and a number of families from the Mary Ann Binford Elementary School. If you don't have time to go shopping, you can always make a donation in cash. That's always welcome. So be sure you have all this taken care of by Sunday, December 12th, which is next Sunday. And then on December 18th, there will be a wrapping party at 9:30 a.m. right here at the center. So be sure you show up for that. Okay, there is an organization called the Community Health. It's called the. It's a community health organization, and they are offering a free wellness testing, screening, free COVID vaccinations, free healthy food giveaway, health insurance enrollment, kids fun zone, resource fair, and you get all kinds of tests done. And that's going to be at the Alamosa Community Center down in the South Valley off of Gonzales Road. The details are in the bulletin and on the website. Okay, be sure you save the date for Christmas Eve. That's December 24th, right? All on the same page here. You know, one of my favorite songs is The Little Drummer Boy. And I was thinking, wow, wouldn't it be nice to have the little drummer boy in there? But imagine, here is Mary. She just gave birth to this little baby. She's exhausted. The baby's asleep, and here comes this young guy with his drums. So I don't think we're going to have the little drummer boy at this service. Is that right, Kamatara? So be sure you show up for that. It's going to be at 7 o'clock. We have a number of people in this organization that are going to be contributing to this. I've been to the last one, or 2 years ago. It's just a really nice, it's breadth, if you will. It's not a focused one thing. It's a very moving service. So that's all for today. Live from New Mexico, Sunday morning. Oh, yeah. I forgot this here. I got this big thing here. How many of you get the Science of Mind on a regular basis? Okay, a lot of you do. You know, if you want to get one this week, you can't because they sold out. But I want to mention to you that our former minister, Reverend Martha Quintana, is doing a daily guide for December, and it starts on page 32. So if you haven't got it, you won't get it, but if you do need it, if you do have it, be sure you check out page 32. Reverend Martha's there. Now, live from New Mexico, Sunday morning announcements.
Whoa. You all know you can join us after service in the social hall, so please do, for a birthday cake. Oh, let's just take a deep breath. And I am so grateful for this service, for everyone who participated, for knowing that, and I affirm for each person, whatever you came for, it is yours now. Abundance, health, power, strength, vitality, whatever it is, peace, love, it is yours now. And I affirm that you can take this desire and be it this week to all that you come in contact with. I'm grateful for everyone who is here, who joined together in your consciousness to make this a wonderful service, that everyone who participated was so blessed and so inspired. And so I bless each person. I bless you each on your way, knowing that all is well, and I look forward to seeing you next week, and so it is. Do we have music? Yes.
Yes, we do.
We have music.
And I'd like you all to stand if you're able, if you feel like it. We're going to do a song I know everybody knows, and this is I Release and I Let Go. I would stand up with you, but I have my big girl shoes on again, and last time I tried that, it wasn't all that great, so. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm all here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm all here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm all here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm all here for God. Yes, I'm only here for God. Thank you.